Michelle Obama did not show up, leaving Barack Obama to, I guess, represent alone. Do you guys feel she had an obligation as his wife and a public figure to show up, or did she have a choice?
Absolutely not. No obligation whatsoever. I feel
I
like
agree.
she fulfilled her duties as the First Lady of the United States. And if she chose not to participate in the buffoonery,
Thank you. That's exactly what it
That
was.
part, right.
that's on her. You know,
She was trying to protect her peace. I think in this
yeah.
moment, especially Black women, we're trying to protect our peace. We're worried about me and mine at the end of
100%.
and just like during the Biden inauguration, the Trumps did not show up to that. So why should she have any reason or anyone to go to their inauguration, especially as disrespectful and childish as they have been? So
Yes,
she's protecting her peace.
yeah, and then I don't know if y'all have seen, like, since Trump has came into office, like in Fox News, they were even like had a report on um Kamala and her husband going grocery shopping with
So
her, and they're like, what type of man goes grocery shopping? Like, are you kidding me?
they just want to start something.
That sounds like when they had that whole uproar about Obama wearing that tan suit. I mean, they just have to find something negative to say. Like, what is the, why are we here? Why are we doing this? Like,
Mm, just be
because,
childish.
go ahead. Just to be,
Just,
just to be
just to be
childish, just to be
childish. I
petty.
mean, like we are so much on their brains right now. It doesn't even make any sense. It's like, okay, keep now at this point. I am actually just like flattered that you have so much to say
Right.
about this every day. I think as Black women, we all understood.
Facts. I was
I think
about to
we,
say the same
I
thing.
think we
Yeah,
all understood. It's honestly, it's not even like, oh, did she set an example for Black women? We are all behind her. At least 92% of us are behind her with that. You know what I'm saying? So we did not have an issue with that. I think all of the Black women understood, and I would hope that a lot of Black men understood. If the other side didn't understand that, that's on them. But it's also not for them to understand. So I don't think that she was doing anything wrong by not showing up.
and you can't hold one side accountable and not hold the
The
other
other.
side
Yep.
to the same standard,
Yep.
regardless of race, gender, religion, what have you.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Because it's supposed to be a peaceful exchange, and
Yep.
right.
it hasn't been that. Trump
No.
even said that he wasn't going to succeed. I mean, or concede or whatever. Like, so all of that foolery, like her just not showing up, is just like, I can't, I just
Mhm.
can't. And I understand that 100%. I just can't, because that's how I feel right now.
I think Jay is in agreement.
By and large, I feel like people don't actually understand what DEI is, which is a big part of the problem. I do think that a lot of it is just purely racism, but I think a lot of it is also just plain ignorance.
Or you need to hire 5 gay people, or you need to hire 2 women, and you need to hire 3 blacks and a Hispanic and an Asian. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what DEI ever was. So, you know what I mean? That's probably the way that people are are seeing.
That's exactly what people think it is.
I'm not going to participate in anything that disrupts my peace.
Amen to that.
Or that goes against my values and my beliefs. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I just can't even be in a room with people that think that way.
Yep.
So I understand. Like, I just don't, that boundary was set. And I feel like Obama, he respected
Understood.
that
Yeah.
because he is an upstanding Black man. And I feel like he was just like, okay, like, I get that.
Yep.
Right.
And they endured so much, like over the
Yes.
last several years. I
Even
mean, from
after.
2008,
Yeah,
like,
after
and
his
after they
presidency.
endured so much, and they held themselves with like class, and they were just like, very, very poised with it. And I think she kind of just hit her limit. And instead of
Mhm.
snapping and popping off like we know how to do, she's like, I'm about gracefully. and I'm going to let my husband go ahead and carry this torch while I go ahead and just get everything situated in our home. Because
Right.
if I go, it's going to put me in a bad mood. It's going to mess up my spirit. And then I'm going to get home and then he and I are going to be arguing. Like, you just never know. It's a
I don't want to participate in that.
Yes. So he definitely understood.
Do you think it would have sent a stronger message if both of them had not shown up?
To answer your question, yes, but I feel like because he was the president, it's like because he is who he is, and what from what I understand, he respects democracy. So he was going to show up regardless.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
It does. To me, it does.
There is a certain convenience that Amazon provides, but I feel like I need to stand on business and really evaluate that. So I'm going to give it a we'll see. I know Target has kind of like an instant service now, but they're rolling back their initiatives
Yeah,
too.
as well. Yeah, they're rolling back.
Yeah, I mean, if I really think about it,
That one hurt. The Target one hurt.
that does hurt. That really hurts. They're like, if to me, any like instant you can get it tomorrow really is. There has to be some corrupt labor practices happening. Like, that's just not. The reason why it is so novel is because it's like probably not actually okay, and it's very clear that Amazon does not treat their employees very well. So my reality, I probably need to just get my ass up and go in the store again. But I'm saying that. And I don't know, I might be on Amazon tonight if my baby needs something. So
I'm gonna let the girls know exactly what time it is with me right now. Amazon comes to my house daily. Okay. They drop off all types of bags, envelopes, bundles, okay, bushels, whatever they can drop off, they bring right to my front door, and I greatly appreciate them. If the truth be told, they've dropped off about 3 or 4 things today alone. I will not be stopping my shopping at Amazon because it is way too convenient. I would like for them to continue with DEI, but if the truth be told, I know they treat the employees like shit, and all I can say is more power to them.
True. Like I was already shopping there, knowing that there were issues. So
yeah, I mean, I've known all of that shit. I know that shit be coming from overseas. I know it's probably got slave labor and child labor and all types of whatever the fuck they do here in America to people. They're too big to fail, and they're too convenient for me to stop using them at this point in my life. Now, there was a time years ago when I wasn't using them on a regular basis. However, now I'm not going to cut off my nose to spite my face. I would like y'all to keep DEI, but this is the thing about all of this. The grand scheme of things is that whenever there are changes that are made to a system or to an organization, a corporation, a country, whatever the case is, there was a reason for that change to be made to begin with. So for you to roll back all of this shit all at once, it's like you're setting things up for the correction. You know what I mean? Basically, it's just going to show you why things need to be done the way that they were being done before. Everything is here for a reason. You may not necessarily see it right now, but give it some time. Things will become apparent to you.
All those toilets flushing, that's going to cost you.
Yeah, how about people that get subsidies to ride public transit?
True. Like you said, you're going to need your IT people way more. You're going to use way more electricity people in the building. Like there's going to be probably a very quick financial impact.
Oh, it's definitely be a financial impact, but then also it's going to be, we can't support all those people on the server.
My question to all three of you would be, as family women, are there boundaries that you all they're non-negotiables for your household across the board? And if so, what are they?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
I
think
I need some type of example.
Ooh, stuff like that really gets to me. So I don't necessarily know if, we said that we're not 100% sure that it was only Black children that were affected. However, we do know that it was at least one Black child that was affected. Who the fuck is breaking legs of newborns in the NICU? They're already fucked up. Like, it's just disgusting, absolutely disgusting. And she needs her ass whooped. I don't think jail time is enough. I think she needs her ass whooped. And what I heard is that it's also not the first issue that they've had at that hospital with some weird shit happening.
I obviously gave birth at that hospital at the time that she was there, which is just wild. And I'm grateful that my child did not need to go to the NICU. I legitimately can't fathom. And I think the fact that healthcare is a service, essentially a service from a privatized industry is a lot of the problem. Ultimately, I think it makes it really hard to hold healthcare professionals accountable.
People still pick it now, but I don't necessarily know if it's as effective as it used to be back in the day. I feel like now, you know, we got to find a way to get to the pockets. You know what I'm saying? They don't care about being outside with signs. They be caring about the bottom line. I mean, that's just the way that I feel. I don't feel like it's the same as it used to be, where it was like, oh, the colors got these signs with these
The
messages on
colors.
them, and the way. I feel like they just step over it now. Yeah, the colors. That's how they see it. Yeah, I feel like they step over it nowadays. If the truth be told, it's like, oh, okay, they pick it in again. Oh, something didn't happen.
For me, I am very introverted. Like, I like to be in the house. I'm gonna stay in the house. If I don't want to go, you're not gonna make me go. You're not gonna try to guilt me into going either.
Yeah.
And my wife, because I do have a lovely wife who I've been with for 16 years, but she's the complete opposite of me. And I mean, she's always willing to go out somewhere. She has a group of friends. When they all come into town, they go out. And as much as I love her friends, I can't be around her friends all the time because they're just like so high and energetic, and they're just like, oh my God, ah. And I'm like, this is too much. So when they come into town, I'm like, okay, I'll go out to dinner with you guys tonight, but whatever you decide to do with them tomorrow, I'm just gonna stay home. And there, in the beginning, she used to be like, oh no, they love you. I'm like, yeah, and I love them too, but I need a minute away from all of that, because that's not me. Those aren't my group of friends. And, as much as I love them, I kind of need a little peace in my life. And that's just a little bit too much. So she understands, like, in these days, that if I say no, I mean no. And you're not going to sit up here and try to persuade me or try to change my mind. I'm not going.
Sarah, I think I'm more on the lines of you. I like to go out. I like to go have fun, but Jason, my partner, he's way more extroverted than me. He's and he was in the past. I think it's calmed down now since he has had his first child, this one right here. But in that sense, it's like I encourage him to like go out, go have your fun, go be with your boys, because I don't ever want it to get to a space where you are resenting being in a relationship and you feel like you can't go out and have fun.
It's hard for me to put a specific boundary. I feel like Dominic and I have been together so long, we kind of know. That's hard for me to like pinpoint a boundary. Like that's tough for me. Because I'm a Libra, I'm kind of like a go with the flow kind of, things change. So a boundary that could have been something 5 years ago is not a boundary now, so it's hard for me to like pinpoint a boundary. Of course, respect, of course, listening to each other. We've had to really work on like not Dominic and I are like, we think differently. So he's more of like he needs pinpoints, and he needs, like all these bullet points and all to make his point. And I guess this is a boundary. It's like, let me process what I need to process before I deliver that to you. So don't get upset if I don't have an answer right away.
Amen.
That's about that. I guess that would be a boundary. It's like, you have to understand that I process information different than you do. You are more of a, I guess, like I said, I'm a free flowing kind of person. I have to write things down. Everything that in this conversation right now, I might not have an answer for you right away. I might not have all the answers at all. I might not have it at all. I don't know. I might not have it till next week. So you just gotta give me some time. And I have to understand that I can't be combative with him because of how he feels, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. There was a news brief that was put out about New Orleans relocating a lot of the homeless individuals within the city and putting them in shelters where they would be able to shower, have beds, etc. This effort to move them was to boost tourism in anticipation of the Super Bowl taking place in New Orleans. However, once the Super Bowl is done, they are dropping all of this. Is this an ethical issue, or do you think it's just strictly business?
I don't see how it could be an ethical issue. They're already homeless.
Okay, so here's the ethical issue. if they have the money to do it now in order to boost tourism, to relocate these homeless people to make way for the Super Bowl, why wash their hands with the program after the Super Bowl is done? Why not continue to invest in it?
It is absolutely an ethical issue. Homelessness is a social, economic, moral failing on behalf of our government, because we have the money in America to end homelessness. And I think exactly what you said, that they not only do they have the money right now, they're going to see an influx in money because of the Super Bowl. And I just think it is, I don't know. This is my first time being like hearing about this, but I think it's really gross. And I also think, knowing that I'm sure some of these people are homeless because of Katrina, knowing that the government failed people then too, I just think it's just piss poor to treat humans that way. But hopefully people getting a bit of a leg up for a period of time can help them in their situation.
I don't know how long the leg up is going to be because the Super Bowl is just in a couple weeks here. So
I'm not a football fan, so I don't know.
yeah, it's just in a couple weeks here, and then if they're doing away with it after the Super Bowl, I don't know how long the leg up would be. I think it's more so just to get you out the way. You know, there are people that are homeless by choice for sure. I can definitely see that being something in New Orleans that people just don't want to. New Orleans, the feel and the vibe of New Orleans is kind of just like that anyway. You know what I mean? I'm sure there are the downtrodden and the people who just can't like afford stuff, but there's a lot of people who are like happily, vagabonds in New Orleans. That just play their clarinet on the corner, and they get a little bit of something to eat, and then they go back up under there, to their alley or their corner or their bridge or whatever they do. I don't think it's necessarily a moral issue. I can see how people would say that it's in bad taste because it does seem like let me get you out of the way because we don't want the world to see the scurf and the scourge on the city and stuff like that. But so what would you propose them to do? Because they're not going to keep it forever, So would just leave them there and just let everybody see what time it is. I think it's
Yeah. I
yeah,
mean, I
that's
feel
what time
like
it is. Absolutely.
stand on it. Like, if that's how you operate, then operate how you operate. But I feel like it's the same thing that happens in foreign countries where like they build these beautiful, like if you think about the Bahamas, like build these beautiful tourist attractions and throw all this money at the Americans and their experience to essentially earn money for the city. And then you have people who are living in squalor literally outside of the gates. That I think that's disgusting. So, own it.
Like
If nothing
Hawaii.
else. Right.
I don't think that yeah. People they do it for the Olympics, they clean up the city and stuff like that for the Olympics because we have the whole world coming in and all of that, and we don't want people to be accosted. We don't want anybody to feel unsafe. We don't, it's not anything new or unheard of. I don't think New Orleans is the first like place to do anything like this. I think it's pretty common practice, common enough practice to where I've heard it before. I don't think everyone always does it. I think that is something that can be done in certain times. And then also to say that like, oh, there's probably people that are affected from Katrina is like, come on, it's been 20 years, dog. Like, come on now. But I don't know.
We could say slavery was 200 years ago, guys. Let's move on. It's the same concept to assume that. I don't think it would be fair to assume that there are not long-term economic impacts from something that was so catastrophic for so many people. I also think that,
Yeah, but
like,
it's not systematic in the way that slavery. I feel like that's a slight. That's an apples to oranges. Like,
I don't think it's an apples to oranges at all. Do I
yeah,
think there's
I don't think that anyone's being systematically oppressed because of Katrina. I think that sure you lost the house that your family's owned, and there was an impact on economic wealth and development of your family and things like that. But for you to be completely destitute and homeless 20 years later is like, damn, really? You know what I mean? Maybe I'm speaking from a place of privilege. I don't know, but
I think it's totally possible that that could be the case, particularly because if you not only lost your home or if you lost your job, also, I think how many times is it said that most people in America are one emergency away from being homeless and being destitute? I also think, kind of
20
to your point
years?
about like parent, I'm gonna step over that. I also think, to your point around parents, I think cleaning up your streets and having more police patrolling is different than like moving humans as if they are a temporary inconvenience. Like I don't think that that is a way to treat people.
Okay, it's not nice. I don't see it as immoral.
It's
Like, it
not
doesn't
nice.
sound nice when you put it that. I mean, you know, it doesn't sound nice. No matter how you put it, it doesn't sound nice. It's not a nice thing per se, but I don't think it's immoral. Like, you know, I don't know, but
That's fair.
yeah,
I think homelessness, period, is a moral failing.
when you look at it like that, a lot of things are immoral. Like student debt's immoral. When you look at it in that in that regard, I
I
mean,
mean, yeah.
This woman is a former bartender who was given a job on a public, very public, and well-known sports show to vocalize her opinions. Her brother is well-known in sports. He's a very prominent athlete. Rumors circulated that she slept her way into her position. There were other women who are not as attractive who came out and said it's very unfair that someone like her was able to get this position. However, there are those that were saying, regardless as to whether or not she slept her way into the position or not, at least a woman has it. Active who came out, and question to you three is that if this was your daughter and she was the topic of conversation, how would you all help her sift through the online comments and the direct shots that have been taken at her for her and how she was placed into this position? And she has not denied sleeping her way into this position, might I add.
But why was she? Why?
Right.
Integrity is everything. You know what I'm saying? Integrity is everything. And I understand as women and as Black women, it's very hard for you to get in these fields, these male dominated fields. I'm so sorry. My baby is having a temper tantrum right now.
I don't know how I would be able to do that. I really don't. I mean, of course, I'm gonna stick beside my baby, you know, regardless. But since social media has become like this big thing, it is just hard for anybody, for God's strongest soldiers, to get through all of the nastiness and the negativity that is being thrown at them. And I mean, I think the best thing that Joy's mom and family could do is just be there and support her. You said she hasn't confirmed nor denied.
And Buzz, you went, Soraya?
Well, because we can't have casinos in Virginia. We can only have gaming emporiums,
Yeah.
so it's just slot machines.
Yeah, but that's how Roses was, though.
But I don't know. I just feel like we didn't need a bigger, like, let it be what it was. I don't think we needed a big with the hotel. Like, it just feels a little like it's a bit much. In all fairness, I haven't been, so maybe I'll give it a shot. But I'm not going. I'm not staying somewhere to play slots all night. That's crazy.
You are not, but there are people who live and die for slots.
That's fair.
And the girls are running up in there like a crash dummy.
I am more in the camp of, I hope that they don't start to censor it. Like, Twitter has become literally just like extremely conservative platform. Like, it's just become like all the worst of QAnon has migrated to that platform. My hope is that TikTok does not become that place, and if that's the case, it can go. Because I think one of the beautiful things about it is that it's been a very informative platform, and I think has been a platform where people have, it just has, I think because of the algorithm, it's impossible to bias it. That's been the case to up until now. If that changes, I think bye, go.
I'm not really a TikToker like that anymore. TikTok can go, as far as I'm concerned. I think that it's overly addictive. I think that it is harming the kids. They literally can't live without it, you would think.
It's me. I'm the kids.
Yeah, well, see, that's the thing about it. You're of age, right?
Mhm.
But they don't have the proper measures in place to keep people who are not of age on it. I mean, off of it.
Yeah.
If you've ever seen them on TikTok, they are literally in a trance. They watch a video, it's only 6 seconds long sometimes, and they loops and they watch it and watch it and watch it for hours, death scrolling into God only knows what else, exposing themselves to God only knows what. Like, it's too much. And it is on the parents to be able to police that type of thing, but it's also, I think there's some responsibility that has to be on the corporation.
Here are 7 fashion snapshots for the month of January. The Birkin bag scandal. So, knockoff Birkin bags appeared on Walmart's website, which ignited a social media firestorm, challenging the value of authentic, meticulously crafted luxury against the fake, the phony, and the knockoffs. Halston compared to Calvin Klein. Halston, a tragic tale of fame and fashion. Halston's wild rise and tragic fall reminds me that when celebrity image overshadows true artistic innovation, the soul of a fashion brand is always going to be at risk. A brand with purpose. More individuals are joining collectives that are looking for brands that are deeply ethical and intertwine sustainability and storytelling through high-end design. Although Costco is not a fashion brand, it is a good example of doubling down on values. Hopefully we'll see more of that in 2025. The reality of compensation in fashion. So there's this ongoing issue of stylists and makeup artists being underpaid. Hopefully, we'll see fair compensation across the fashion industry sooner rather than later. A lot of these creatives are tired of being paid with quote-unquote credits. They want actual money. Tailoring trends for 2025. A renewed focus on precise tailoring and craftsmanship is set to redefine 2025. This trend will be a blending of timeless elegance and hopefully some modern innovation. Slow fashion and the problem with fast fashion. As you all know, fast fashion sucks. I'm all about sustainable fashion, but you will start to hear more people speaking about slow fashion. As fast fashion fuels a cycle of disposable trends, embracing slow fashion through sustainable design, we might see more essential pieces being created and more responsible practices put into place to help create more lasting wardrobes. One can only pray. Looking ahead towards New York Fashion Week, this February, New York Fashion Week, I don't think it's going to be that fun. It's hot off the heels of the election. People are very emotional right now. I don't think any creative boundaries will be pushed. Hopefully by September, which I'm praying will be super fun, we'll see a spotlight on innovation and less trends, and hopefully we'll get into like the future of fashion. Hopefully by that time, catch their breath, and it will be an exciting time in the city.
But I do know at the end of the day, a person's mental can make or break them. And I would be the one to support and just ride with you every step of the way. Every step of the way.
Yes, I agree with that 100%. I feel like, because you said she didn't confirm or deny, but it's like, why even address? Like
Yeah.
with social media, like if whatever she says is going to get picked apart.
Yeah.
So it's like, do I even say anything? It's like, let them talk,
Yeah.
whatever. It's gonna happen.
Right.
So I mean, and she could, men do, maybe they don't sleep their way to the top, but they do a whole lot of other things to get to wherever they gotta go.
Don't
So,
we know it? Hello.
right. So if that got her to seat at the table, so the fuck what? I'm
Right.
sorry, excuse my language,
No,
but
that part.
I mean, and why does she have to address anyone? She's on the show for a reason. She's and let it be that, like, and move on. Like, I don't get it.
So so to phrase it, we're saying that, and this is just rephrasing it, we're saying that it's socially acceptable now for a woman to sleep her way into a position as a career advancement tactic.
I don't think we said that, Tiffany.
We're not saying that. We're just saying that
Okay, if I'm talking to my daughter and based on the alleged conversations that my daughter had with individuals, one particularly being this hairstylist, in that conversation, from what I understand, Joy made the comment that she was going to lie on one of the top execs and say that he raped her or sexually abused her. She did make that comment. So while I understand there may be some viewpoint like, okay, yes, she may have slept her way to the top, she deserves to be at the table. I don't agree with if she allegedly made those other comments and is willing to frame a man in alluding to the fact that he sexually abused her. I don't like that because what that does is then set victims back, real victims of sexual abuse and rape, that sets them back even more. And then, I believe she's a black woman. You have now not only a woman, you have a black woman who, number one, allegedly slept her way to the top and then is on record saying that, okay, well, if I don't get what I want, then I'm going to say that such and such, sexually abused me. I don't agree with that. I think that's absolutely wrong. Whether or not she deserved to be at the table, whether or not she had the qualifications to be at that table, I think that comment alone sets real victims back already. Like, I'm not gonna say thousands of you. It basically, yeah, thousands. They already have a hard time now. Sexual abuse victims, rape victims. They already have a hard time now getting their voices heard with the public, with police, with law enforcement. And so, her making that statement, if allegedly making that statement, if it is true, I think that that's wrong. So regardless of if she was qualified to be at that table, all of that kind of like her saying that kind of just was like, nah, I can't get behind this.
Too light for the dark skinned girls and too dark for the light skinned girls.
When we were growing up, the way your hair was an issue. Black women as a whole and the representation that we see like in the media and those kind of things are more than what we were seeing when we were younger. But yes, it is still an issue. When I talk to Zoe about it, I share my personal experience about colorism. So in high school, a guy that I was dating, he was lighter than me, and he was like, you're pretty for a black girl or a dark-skinned girl.
Yeah, no, that's not cool.
And I was like, at the time, you're young, you're like, I think I was maybe like 15 or 16. And I'm like, it's kind of like a backhanded comment. Like, is that a comment? Like, I don't even know. I mean, is that a compliment? Or like, I don't even know how to take that. So I'm thinking, first of all, I was thinking that I was darker, like it's like, oh, you're a dark skin, like you dark. And then when I'm explaining that to people, they're like, girl, no, you like there's skin complexions that are darker than you. Like that's not a negative thing. So when I explained that to Zoe, I try to just talk to her from my experience, like how to navigate. Now, the social media piece is a whole nother beast. We didn't have that either, not to the extent that they do. So I find it hard to talk to her about that because they just get exposed to way more things than we were as connected to social media. So, like I said, I just try to talk to her based on my experience and what I experienced as far as colorism and within the Black community and also outside of that. But yeah, it's a hard conversation to have for sure.
See, I'm not there yet. My girl is only 2 years old, so she is not able to understand the concept of light skin, dark skin, but you know, I do push those like My Black is Beautiful books. Like I just want
Mm-hmm.
you to know that does not matter what shade you are, what color you are, your black is still beautiful at the end
Mm-hmm.
of the day, and you should not have to compare yourself to anyone. And Asia, just like you said in high school, you know, you had to deal with that. In high school, I had two very close friends who were both lighter than me. You know, one was a lot lighter and the other one, she was a little bit lighter, but she had like dimples. So like to me, it felt like I was kind of already like the black
Mm-hmm.
of the group.
Yeah.
And the one thing I don't want is for my daughter to like grow up and like have that same feeling that I had in high school. I love my friends, still love them, but you know, at the end of the day, we're all beautiful black queens and it does not matter. And I think, you know, just a little bit off topic. I don't know if I don't watch Love and Hip Hop or whatever, but whatever the incident that happened recently between Armada, I can't remember her name, but she's like a dark skinned Dominican girl, and then there was another light skinned Haitian girl. They had like a whole argument back and forth, and the light skinned Haitian chick was like, "Oh, you just mad because I'm lighter than you, and you're dark
Oh.
and you got ugly dark babies, blah blah blah." And I was like, "Wait a minute, like what?" Why? And you have, you know, like your teenagers and preteens who kind of stumble across these shows and stumble upon these pages, and you don't want that getting in their heads.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
black and beautiful. You mad because I'm light skinned? Why would I be mad because you're light skinned? How black hate on light skinned girls? Woo! Say that one more time. Say that out loud.
how dare you sit up here and attack another black female because she's darker than you are? Like, that just kind of threw me for a loop. So I think for me, as she does get older, I just want to push for your black, no matter the shade you are, your black is still beautiful at the end of the day. And we are not competing with each other. We are
Right.
the same, you
Right.
know?
And I feel like because your daughters are younger, and like I said, girl, I only bought Zoe black Barbies. Like I was trying to just, and maybe that's kind of shady, but at the time I was like, girl, I want you to see all the different shades,
Yep.
colors,
Yep.
shapes, what we all look like
Yep.
books. And I feel like now we have access to more materials that had those things. So, as opposed to when we were growing up, when there was one black Barbie, and I'm
Yep.
just using Barbie because that's, like a thing everybody plays with as a young girl,
Mhm.
but one black Barbie with one shade and one kind of hair texture, where as I try to expose her and have those conversations, and it's even more difficult because Zoe goes to a predominantly white school. So that's a whole nother level, layer on top of that. It's like,
Mhm.
we had to really revamp her, not her friend group, but just like who she was close with and like what kind of conversation she can have. You can have those conversations about hair and about, with your black friends that you can't have with your white friends.
Mhm.
And it's
And don't
just
attempt it. Sorry.
so I mean, we have to really spread the message that we're on the same team. We cannot
Mhm.
put other black women down. We
Mhm.
cannot talk like that. Kind of crazy talk is wild to me. And I feel like that stems from slavery. I mean, like I
Yeah,
feel
oh
like
no,
that
for
just
real.
it
No, it
just
Were you
does.
in
trickles.
the house or were you in the field?
Right,
Like,
exactly. It trickles
seriously, it
down.
does.
It trickles down even to
Mhm.
this day. Like
So there were 3 studies done, and they all rooted back to slavery, right? Then there were certain things that were mentioned. So us repeating the phrases like "with your black ass," "with your light skin ass," "oh, that's a light skin characteristic," "oh, you're acting dark skinned today." Like we perpetuate colorism within the community, is what these studies have shown. It also showed that in high school age girls, that high school age girls that found themselves on the darker side of brown, were over sexualized in order to garner attention
mm,
from males, because light skin or fairer black skin women were able to rely on their beauty and their hair, and their
mm.
version of beauty is the complexion of their skin, is what they were gauging that as. Did you see that at all while you were an educator?
You know what? I was in a predominantly white and Hispanic and mixed school. So there weren't too many straight, you know, African American babies running around there. And I swear to you, not in probably the 6 years I was there, I had one like black baby, one baby girl.
That's a separate problem.
Right.
Yeah, yes,
That
it
part.
is. Yes, it is. But everyone else was of mixed race. So honestly, at the school that I was in, I did not have that issue as far as the dark skinned girl and the light skinned girl, or the dark skinned girl feeling like she has to kind of like put herself out there a little bit more than the light skinned girl. I honestly cannot say that I've experienced that at all, because we just did not have.
Michaela, for instance, my 15-year-old, like when she was in middle school, she had a lot of white friends. Her white friends, their family took her on trips every spring break. And there was like no issue. Now, I will say that once they went to high school, those same friends, like she has not talked to them, like even into like the summer of them going into high school. They haven't had any communication. I don't know if it's because of them going to different schools, because she is going to a different school than a lot of her friends that she had in middle school. Um, I don't know. I know she tried to reach out to them several of times, and she said that her messages was basically, you know, ignored. And but so she has established her own, new set of friends. She does have one friend from middle school, who she still talks to. She does happen to be mixed biracial like me. And so I don't know. I can't say that that is the reason. I don't know.
I will say I had one little baby in middle school. This was like my first or second year I was teaching. I'm worried about her now. I don't know what she's doing now, but when she was a teeny weeny sixth grader, she was coming in every day wearing knee length boots, short skirts, and I mean, like we dress coded her every single time, and like her mom would come in like, "Oh no, I saw her come out of the house like that. She's fine," and I'm like, "What?"
Girl.
Like
Yikes.
where are we getting this from? But I mean, like you said, the whole crop top situation is what they see. It's they think it's cute, and
I know for a fact, like they're pushing all of this crop top stuff. Like I can barely find
mm-hmm.
a full length shirt for them. It's really really hard. Kayla's already shopping in like the women's section because I don't approve of showing you. I'm not that millennial mom or even beyond millennial mom who approves of their kids wearing shirts that show your midriff and all. I don't do that. I'm not that. I'm an old school millennial mom. Well, my kids don't have social media.
That's
Michaela,
good.
Good for you. Good
Michaela,
for
she
you.
well,
Applause.
we just got her TikTok. She just got TikTok maybe within the past 5 or 6 months, and that's my oldest. She's 15. Um, so she only has TikTok. I'm on her TikTok. I approve everything on her TikTok. So she has that. That's about to go away probably. So she won't have any social media outside of that, and she's not gonna get any additional social media. But so I try to, I'm not gonna say shield them, but in a way like keep them as innocent as they can be for as long as they can be, without them being green too. Like I don't want to have kids out in society who are green and not know everything, but at the same time, I always feel like it's a time and a place and a kid should be exposed to what they need to be exposed to, and I don't want to prematurely expose them to anything that they shouldn't be.
Do you think that there's this element of perpetuating something or projecting onto a child? You bring the conversation to them, they're exposed. Now we're continuing this cycle of constant conversations of colorism and not necessarily addressing the issue.
But you also, I mean, you want them to be aware because they're going to be in situations where that's going to come up, and you want them to be informed on how to react, or because sometimes you don't always know how to react in those situations. At least come to you and be able to talk to you. Look, mom, this happened. And, I don't know how to feel about it. Like, at least be able to come to you and have those conversations, because I know growing up, a lot of things happen. And then later on, I'm like, that was kind of racist, or that was kind of this, or that, like, and I just kind of let it happen. And I would rather her be not I wouldn't say naive, but I would rather her at least be able to communicate that with someone, even
Recognize
if they
it.
don't necessarily know how to react in the situation, but at least acknowledge the fact that that was something that happened, that triggered a thing, that was that was a negative thing that happened to me, and at least I could be able to talk about it. Like,
Yeah,
I can pinpoint that that was colorism, or that was racism, or that was a thing, because it's going to happen.
it's gonna happen.
We can't keep them in a bubble forever.
Yeah.
Like, they're going to be around other people that are going to say things that's wild, and they might not know how to react in that situation. So at least be equipped her with the information to be able, or equip them with the information to be able to at least be able to talk about it.
I think I definitely have more conversations with the girls around inappropriate touching and peer pressure when it comes to certain things versus having conversations with them around colorism. I really do. I really do. Because I understand I understand like experiencing colorism is detrimental. However, I feel like when you are inappropriately touched, or when you're having or feeling like you have to do something under peer pressure with somebody that may be your peer or older, like I feel like I feel like it's more instances of those types of things happening versus, oh, we're experiencing colorism. I mean, you think about the whole situation with like Naziah Harris. Like, that is heartbreaking. And I don't know if y'all have been following everything that has been going on with that case, but that's just one of many. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like maybe all of us, and I could be speaking out of turn, know someone, have been a victim of it, um, a close victim of inappropriate touching, sexual abuse by a peer, a family member, a school teacher, somebody. And so I think that those are greater conversations to have, not trying to sweep any type of conversation around colorism under the rug, because I think that it is important. But I know me, and when it comes to my kids, I definitely have more conversations with them around those types of situations.
For women who go through things like that, they kind of suppress those feelings,
Yeah.
and they don't want to bring it up, not realizing that you're also bringing a child, a daughter, into this world. Like, you have to be able to have those conversations with them, and like for me, my mom would tell me all types of stories as I was going off to college, and I'm like, Ma, why do you like telling me these stories, to scare me? Like, literally, even to this day, she's like, oh, be careful when you go down to Florida. Make sure you bring your passport. I'm not going out of the country, but she's like, I need you to be aware of the things that are happening. Like, if it can happen to this person, then it can happen to you. And I don't want you to get blindsided or surprised at what's going to happen. So always have, be on high alert at all times. And it wasn't until recently when I'm like, you know what, Ma, you always tell me things, and I feel like you're trying to scare me. But she's like, no, baby, I'm trying to save you. Like, I'm
Prepare you.
you know what
Preparation.
I'm saying? Like, I need you to hear me, and I need to be in your ear whenever you find yourself in a situation that just does not feel right.
There's shame associated with sexual assault. There's, I struggle with this because Zoe is, she's a preteen, and it's like my mother never really exposed what happened to her in her life, or her like personal experiences to me, until I was an adult. And I feel like, yes, there is a time and a place, and I struggle with like, what is that time and a place to share these information, because I want to be a human to my daughter as well. Yes, I'm your mother, but I am a person, and I want you to know my trauma, not traumas, but my like struggles and my, things that I went through, so that either you can do the opposite or you can do the same, or whatever you choose to do with that information. But I want you to know me, because like I feel like that creates a bigger bond, a closer bond with your children. Because my mother didn't do that with me until later, so it's like now I'm getting to know her. She's in her she's almost 70, and I'm, it's like I wish I would have known those things when I was 20. I wish I would have known that when I was 25. Now I could understand who you are as a person better, and why you parented me the way you did, and those kind of things like that. That would be an easier bridge between us. And so now I try to, and I don't necessarily like sit her down, it's like, hey, Zoe, in college, this happened to me. But like, and it's like, raw, like, like, it's a scary situation. But it's like, if she's talking about something similar, I kind of like try to drop a little, like, well, this kind of similar situation happened to me, like, so that we have a dialogue and a conversation about it. And I'm not saying I do it perfectly every time. I probably could scare the shit out of her. I don't know, but I try to like make it a conversation and a dialogue, as opposed to don't do this because this could happen to you. Like try to make it more like a easier conversation for us to have. So I think that it's definitely important for us to have those conversations, whether it's about colorism or rape or all those things, like having them early, so that when they get to adulthood and they're put in a similar situation, they can be like, oh, I remember that time when my mom said blah blah blah, or my dad said, because the dads need to come in and say things too. It's not just on us. Like and the uncles and the aunts, or the ones that we trust and things, you know what I'm saying? But everybody needs to have those conversations. We need to go back to the times where it was a village raising our children and not just us, because it's hard. It's tough to shield them from things and let them know things when it's time, and not let them know things when it's not time. Like it's tough.
Everybody and the things you do.